for the cloud. Let's get started. So we're going to start with operations. Every school moves in different orders. So you might start with operations, you might start with finance, you could start with marketing, and usually it'll go on for around 7 to 9 weeks, but it does depend on the pace of your class. Some of you guys could finish the entire subject in like 2.5 terms. Others will need all 4 terms. You might not even get one of the sections in your trials if you don't finish it in time, or part of it might be cut out. It really depends how your school moves. So with operations is all about the production. You guys, a lot of the year 11 content does overlap into year 12, where I feel like year 11 is definitely the base, and nothing you learn in year 12 is super hard or like doesn't make any sense at all, because it all just builds off that kind of foundation. It definitely gets harder, but it's not like this completely different topic and these completely different ideas. You guys would have already looked quite a few of these ideas in year 11, so it does really flow on nicely, but there is nothing that you need to memorize from year 11. All of it and everything that they can assess you on and everything that can be in the exam and in your assignments is on these 4 pages, which is why, again, so important to memorize. But I'm not going to say that again because I'm already repeating myself. So let's start with globalization. You guys would have learned about globalization and the effect of just our international world and how that affects businesses in year 11. So one of the student learn twos, which is what NESA really focuses on and what they really want you guys to understand most, which also means that it's more likely to come up in exams, is to be able to examine the impact of globalization on operation strategies. So globalization refers to the removal of trade barriers between nations. It's characterized by increasing integration between national economies, as well as a high degree of transfer of capital, labor, financial resources, and technology. So you guys already know globalization is just businesses going kind of beyond their country and beyond that domestic level into the international market and competing with each other, and what that means in terms of production and marketing and finance, and just operating on like a global scale rather than like a small scale or just a domestic scale. So the rise of globalization has allowed businesses to modify and implement new transformation processes to suit the changing global market, and it also acts as a source of market opportunities for domestic businesses to exploit, because if you can get your product made overseas, which is what a lot of companies like Shein and like do, they can have a lot of cost saving benefits, but that then affects their ethics. So we're going to look a bit into that. So to meet the different needs of consumers worldwide, businesses need to integrate operations processes that integrate product designs that meet the needs of global customers. So for that, for example, you could look at McDonald's and how internationally there's different menus depending on the country that you're in. So in some countries, there's only halal meat. In other countries, I know when I was in Paris, they had like macarons, and in Italy, like everything is Nutella flavored, all their desserts. So it really just depends on the country you're in and how that the product itself is changed depending on the country. So even for Macca's, for us, we had like the Tim Tam McFlurry. I remember when they had that, but that wouldn't happen in, I don't know, Germany, for example. So the product and the actual design of the product is changing to meet different global customers. Choosing the location of manufacturing facilities is a very big deal as well. So whether a product is made in Australia, or a lot of products nowadays are made in China and countries like that. Deciding on quality management logistics, and then also assessing quality management logistics, which is all about the quality of the product and being able to control and assess that. So here's an example of a case study. So I'm not sure if you guys would have been introduced to case studies. Some of your teachers might have taught you in year 11. A case study is just an example of like a real scenario that has happened to a real business. So like I said, a lot of students do Qantas. I know I wrote about Qantas and McDonald's in my HSC. But one of the biggest effects of globalization is outsourcing, where you will outsource the different functions. Maybe you outsource your production, maybe you'll outsource your maintenance or your IT to another country to reduce your operational costs. So what Qantas has done, more than 70% of their operations are geared to the global market, specifically 50% to Asia, which allows them for global recognition and long-term growth. So 50% of that 70% of operations are and have been outsourced to Asia and aren't being performed here in Australia, which then allows them to grow as a company into that international market and have that long-term growth.